My topic today is about the policy faced primarily by student organizations at this university. This policy stipulates that student organizations must have at least a 2-week buffer from when they schedule an event to when the event actually takes place. My target audience for these findings and suggestions are the student organizations impacted by this, the Office of Student Life, university unions and events, and student government. So first I want to cover the specifics of the policy itself. So as you see, I have a screenshot on the top there taken directly from the field training given to student organization leaders whenever they register for the clubs every semester. So the policy directly stipulates on-campus in-person events must be submitted at least 2 weeks before the start of the date of the event. Events that are submitted less than 2 weeks in advance will be denied. Online and off-campus events can be submitted later than 2 weeks in advance since there is no reservation required for them. All event spaces can be reserved for Victor's Link. So I also contacted a member of the Office of Student Life to get some more context into the history of the policy and its intended purposes. So it seems from what he told me in our email communication, it's been around for several years, and this employee's been working for about 6 years, so it's been very longer than that. And it's always been in effect. And the OSL, short for Office of Student Life, and UUE, short for University Unions and Events, are primarily involved in upholding this policy. So what is the purpose of this policy? The purpose of this policy is to give OSL and UUE and other campus partners to have enough time to process events. This includes verifying the orgs in proper standing, that they've registered, that they've filled out all the forms and documentation they need. And it also gives them time to reach out to the buildings that have the rooms for reservation. On the student organization side, 2 weeks also gives them proper amount of time to plan for events, whereas having less than 2 weeks might make it harder for them to schedule speakers or organize catering, things like that. So I'd like to go in depth a little bit on the Office of Student Life. The Office of Student Life upholds this policy for the event registration process. Whenever you register for an event as a student org, the first verification will go through them. They'll ensure you're in proper standing and everything like that. They do not handle, however, during this process, they do not handle room reservations itself, and instead they forward it to the UUE. Next, the University Unions and Events. This office was created in 2014 to help consolidate and organize campus resources for the University of Michigan Dearborn community. It handles event planning for meetings and programmings for the community, and they give final approval for events for student organizations. So when I was researching this issue, I reached out to other student organizations to gain their perspective on this. So I reached out to a total of 17 respondents, representing 17 different organizations, and 64% of respondents had a negative perspective on the policy. And out of those 64, more than half, about 70%, had at least 2 or more paragraphs of justification and explanation explaining why they don't like this policy very much. Whereas those that found it to be a positive thing, they had a lot shorter of explanations. So I'd just like to go over some of the main answers they provided. They have to plan well in advance for events. It does not accommodate student schedules with hectic coursework, work schedules, and lives. Additionally, the UUE's and OSL's long response times negate the benefit of having 2 weeks to prepare for events, being messaged of the room reservation approval about 4 days before when the event actually is. So some of the policy's inherent issues. It hinders student organizations' abilities to host events at least 2 weeks out, or less than 2 weeks out. It fails to accommodate the changing schedules of students. It lacks flexibility, denying events even 1 day late from the 2-week buffer required. Additionally, rooms remain unused even if the student organization gets their room reservation denied. That room will still remain open sometimes. And it reduces the number of events organizations can host due to the slow bureaucracy of this process. So some solutions I want to offer for amending this policy: lowering the buffer to 1 week, Integrating automated processes for room reservations, such as having time slots for rooms student organizations can pick out themselves. Improving response times between the offices and then to the organizations by either giving the responsibility of room reservations primarily to the Office of Student Life instead of UUE. So conclusion to you, the students. If you want to see more events on campus, you want to see our community culture flourish, be sure to get more involved in student organizations to show the administration that we want more access to events. Thank you, everyone.
One question. Do you know, are exceptions ever made? Like, I know it's a 14-day window. What if it's 13 days?
No, not at all. Yeah. Any other questions? Thank you.